the new person.
Okay.
Y'all just had to get Jax when I was starting my diet.
I offered.
I decided to do a CrossFit workout.
That's good.
Whoa!
I thought about you at church yesterday.
Huh?
My minister said something really, really deep yesterday. You know, people, churches can't talk about voting. He talked about
So it probably won't go very high, but it'll go to whatever. Of course, anyway. So it's,
One minute.
you're like me, you wear it as an earring. You wear your mask like an earring. That's the new earrings.
You're not warming up.
Uh-oh. Give that woman a test. Get me a,
Oh, yeah. Keep her at her distance.
that's right. Keep a distance from her. Keep a distance.
We're at 30 seconds.
How are things in Mobile?
One o'clock.
Well, good afternoon, Decatur. Thank you for joining us for our weekly COVID-19 update. Last week, we received very valuable updates from our medical community and school system. And today, we're going to get the latest information from the Department of Public Health and our Morgan County neighbors. I'd like to introduce our guest. To my right, we have with us Alabama Department of Public Health Administrator for the Northern District, Judy Smith. Judy, good to have you back with us
Thank you,
today. And then to my left, we have Morgan County Commission Chairman, Chairman Ray Long. Chairman, it's always good to have you with us.
Good to be here, Mayor.
So just a few updates. Current Morgan County COVID cases are 3,090, which brings us to a 3.97% weekly increase. That's a little higher than we've seen in the past several weeks. Remember to keep wearing your mask, sanitizing, and practicing social distancing. It works. Please reach out to city departments if you have business here. It's a good thing to do that first, as many trips can be saved with a phone or email, phone call or email correspondence. And remember, you can access all contact information from our city website at DecaturAlabamaUSA.com. Fall leaf collection, it really felt like fall this weekend. Remember that fall leaf collection will begin on October 1. First in the Flint area, then moving clockwise around the city. Also want to can't be strong enough in our encouragement about completing your census. If you haven't already done so, please complete your census at my2020census.gov or by phone at 844-330-2020. Your input helps to direct federal funds for schools, roads, and other public services. Every week, we encourage you to call someone in your neighborhood and check on them. We want you to do that today, and remember to give special attention to our elderly neighbors. So with that, Chairman Long, what about an update from the county?
All right, thank you, Mayor. Everything's still real good in the county, running good. As I passed by second floor a while ago, there's no lines. Wasn't any lines when I got there this morning on the front or the back. So people are using the online services more, making appointments, coming in, and that's really been good. I mean, if we can keep these people from coming into the courthouse, the less chances we are of people bringing the COVID in. And so we've been real fortunate. Still, just 2 employees in the courthouse that I know of has had it through this whole thing. So we've been real fortunate. Want to protect our employees, but also want to protect our citizens that come in. So all you can do online, we encourage you to do it. As the mayor said about the city, we get at the county, we're the same. You can call us, and most everything you need help with, we can do it on the phone or online. And so, I know it's a new way of life, and we've got to get used to it. I think that's where we're at now, and it's better for everybody. But everything else is great. We're just waiting on this thing to die out, and I don't know when it's going to die out. Judy's going to know more about it than I do, but I know eventually we're going to have a vaccination to help us on this. Until then, I just want to encourage everybody. You may not like it, but I think it saves lives, and so we encourage people to keep doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. Judy, good to have you with us.
Mayor and Chairman, we all sound like a broken record, and for those of you, some of us are older than some of you out there, and you probably don't remember the 45 RPM records that we had that would get hung, and they'd repeat and repeat and repeat, and that's what we sound like, repeat and repeat. You know, wear your mask, stay apart. Wear your mask, stay apart. Folks, we're 6 months into this. The 13th, last week, we were exactly 6 months from the first case in Alabama. Would any of us have ever thought at that time that 6 months from there, we would have 6.8 million cases of coronavirus in this nation? In this state, we currently have over 131,000 coronavirus cases. Would any of us have ever believed that? What would we have done if we had known 6 months ago, if somebody had said, hey, you've got a disease coming into your nation, into your state, and into your county, and you're going to have this many people sick. And in addition to that, you're currently going to have like 2,300 of those people in Alabama who have died. In addition to that, you're going to have a lot of other folks that have gotten really, really sick, that have been in the hospital, some that have been on ventilators. And when we talk about the 2,292, almost 2,300 of people that have died in Alabama, we're not talking about just numbers. We're talking about people. Every one of those numbers is hooked to an individual. Every one of those numbers is hooked to a family. Every one of those numbers is hooked to a community. If I bring that even a little closer to home in Morgan County, as the mayor has already said, who would have thought 6 months ago we would have said in Decatur, Morgan County, we'll have over 3,000 people who have this virus, and we'll have 25 who have died. By the way, since Labor Day, that number has actually been up. It was steady for a while, but that number is actually up 3. Again, that's 25 people in this community who their family, and their neighborhoods have been drastically hit by this virus. You did have a wonderful speaker last week, and I am so proud that your hospital was represented. That is a key factor in all this, and I will tell you that over time, we were beginning to trend down with hospitalizations. Keep in mind that when we report hospitalizations, we're not just reporting the same number of people every time. People go home and other people go in. If you look at the state numbers, you will see that 1 in every 10 people, actually a little more than 1 in every 10 people, ends up in the hospital. The numbers have gone back up some. Not quite as drastically as they did after Memorial Day and stuff, and we'd like to believe that the things that you all are doing, these things right here and the staying apart has helped, but the numbers have been back up some. You know, it's really concerning. We want to be optimistic about this, but on the other hand, we also don't want to have false reassurance that everything is okay. Let me just say that about 2 weeks after a holiday, or about 2 weeks after an event, is when we really look at what the numbers are doing, because what happens is people kind of get sick during that first week, then they go get tested, they get their test results at the end of the week, and if you'll notice, over the weekend, we had over 2,000 people added to the state registers as far as the number of cases go. That was also true, as the mayor has already said, that's also true of Morgan County. So we really have to be careful. Now, I will tell you that we will be very carefully watching the hospital numbers this week, because as I said, they've gone back up some. Usually it is in the 3rd week after we've had an event or a hospital that the hospitalization numbers go back up. So, you know, that's very critical. You know, when I was growing up, people of power, I did grow up, but anyway, people of power would say, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. I will tell you, I had my car taken away from me. I had my curfew taken away from me. I had my privileges taken away from you. Folks, we're in that same boat. If we don't do what we need to do, the masking and staying apart, then we are, you know, we're going to have a lot of things taken away from us. I will tell you that the biggest complaint I have gotten this last week is that people are beginning to quit wearing their mask. I don't know whether you all went out or not, some over this past week or so. We get into the beautiful fall with the beautiful fall weather, and then we suddenly decide that, hey, it's okay. You know, we have been kicked out of so much. We've been kicked out of ball games. We've been kicked out of school. We've been kicked out of holidays. We've been kicked out of a lot of things. We don't need to be kicked out of anything else. And what I started to say is a lot of folks, we've had a lot of calls this week that businesses are very concerned. They may have been businesses that got closed down earlier, and they're saying, please, can't the health department do something? We can't afford to have our business closed down again. We'll be out of business if our business is closed down again. So please, on behalf of the people in this community, on behalf of the people you love, actually on behalf of the people you don't love, because your tax money's gonna take care of them. So please do what you need to do. Let's do what we need to do to protect each other. I want to say that, and I'm not saying this to be frightening, but the numbers are probably underestimated. And let me tell you 3 things that are going on. First of all, there's been a huge shift to rapid testing. And so what a lot of people are doing, almost every doctor, every healthcare facility, every whatever, has rapid test availability now, including some of the pharmacies. What happens is a lot of those are not getting reported to the state. I do want to mention to you that if you do get a rapid test, if it's positive, it is probably positive. If it is negative, there is a high level of error. 2 out of every 10 that test negative actually end up being positive. So you need to be very careful about that. A second thing that's happening is people, quite honestly, are avoiding getting tested. They have found out, particularly ball teams and sports and things that are going on at school, because number one, mom and dad have said, I cannot be out of work for 14 days. Folks, we don't know what the long-range impact of this disease is going to be to these kids. And kids who are sick or kids that have been exposed, they don't need to be out running around playing ball. We don't know what the long-range impact to their lungs and even to their heart's going to be. So it's imperative that we do what we're supposed to do. But we do know that people are avoiding getting tested so that they don't have to be isolated, they don't have to be quarantined, and mom and dad don't have to be out of work. Is it worth it? Is it worth it for the long-range price? I can tell you up front, you ask the folks in the hospital and they'll tell you up front, no, it's not worth it. I know one of the things in the article in the newspaper this week, they talked about the person at Decatur Morgan who has been on a ventilator for 3 months. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be a family member, and you certainly don't want to be a person who creates that problem so that somebody else, does have to suffer like that. I will tell you, at Decatur Morgan this morning, you had 29 people. That's a heck of a lot of folks that are still in the hospital with COVID. 7 of those are in the intensive care unit, and 2 of those are on vent. The people who are sick are very, very sick. So please, let's all do our part and take care of each other. A couple of other things I want to mention as I close before I finish my broken record. We've got flu clinics coming up. You can get flu shots at drugstores, and we're into flu season. We're into cold and flu season. And so please, you don't need, and other people don't need the flu on top of having COVID. So please get your flu shots. There are a lot of mass clinics that are going to go on. There are people who have volunteered to do mass clinics. I will tell you this, the health department will not deny anybody the right to have a flu shot, regardless of their ability to pay. So now we'd love it if you'd pay, but we will not deny you the right to have that flu shot. So please do that. The other thing that I want to close with, and I want to really reinforce what the mayor and the chairman have said, this is 10 vials of testing medium. It's very, very expensive testing medium. We have this because we count the citizens in this community, and we're able to get enough supplies to do what we need to do, both in this, in flu, in other medicines that we have. Right now, I think your census is about 70% of what it should be, where it normally is. We don't mind if you register twice. If we don't get the census data up, in the next year and 2 years, our federal money will be cut, and we won't have enough of these supplies for everybody that needs them. We won't have enough vaccines for everybody that needs them. We won't have enough medicines, public health medicines, for everybody that needs them. Please, we don't care what you do in your backyard, but please do this census so that your community, Decatur Morgan, can still get the revenue that they need so that all of the agencies in this community can take care of you. Now, with the broken record, I will end by saying, wear your mask and stay apart. Please take care of each other. Thank you, Mayor.
Judy, thank you. Very informative information that you shared today, both on COVID and your encouragement regarding the census, and we certainly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So we'll take any questions.
I have one question for Judy. Judy, we talked earlier, it's now kids are going back to school, college kids are going back to school, and we're going to these football games. What kind of advice would you have to people going to all these games?
Listen, folks, once again, if you all don't know, one of the major high schools in Huntsville ended up canceling its ball game Friday night. It's going to cancel its ball game again this Friday night. And they had to push back the opening of the schools. You know, even though our kids are don't tend to be as sick as adults do, you know, they are still our little typhoid Marys that are running around and giving this to older adults and giving it to the majority of people who actually end up having COVID are between 20 and 50 years of age. Now, that's not the majority of who dies, but it is the majority of who has them. So, you know, we're all in this. Please, please do this. You know, I said earlier, we've been kicked out of a lot of stuff. If you want to be kicked out of your ball games, if you want to be kicked out of going to school, and some kids do, so maybe I shouldn't say that to everybody, but, you know, the majority of kids don't. By the way, I want to mention one other thing, and I'm glad you asked that question. Now that kids are going back to school, I'm going to ask the teachers to please really work on their anatomy lessons. We're having a lot of folks that don't know where their nose and their mouth is. They have masks, but the mask is here, the mask is here, or the mask is here, or it's hanging from their ear like this. Folks, this is your nose, this is your mask. Let's take care of each other, cover it up, and stay apart. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, listen, thank you for joining us. Our next press conference will be Monday, September the 28th at 10 a.m. We hope to see you then. Thank you.